What's up, fight fans? Welcome to Mr. Mustache MMA News. Today, I want to discuss an exciting upcoming welterweight matchup this Saturday within the UFC. But before we get into it, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button to continue getting more MMA content by yours truly to help the channel grow. All right, guys, getting right into it. We got Preston Parsons taking on UFC newcomer Jacobe Smith on short notice in a fight that just really has me questioning what's going to happen in this fight because there's a lot of what ifs. You have Jacobe Smith stepping in on short notice after Gustafsson had to pull out of the fight. I don't really know what happened, probably an injury. But Smith 9-0, right? 7 wins by knockout. Looked very dominant each and every time that he's come out. Very well-rounded, good takedowns, good striking, mixes it up very well, marches forward, phenomenal ground and pound. And against a guy like Preston Parsons, who his striking's, it's not polished, right? But it's enough to get the fight where he wants it, and that's to the ground. He's a good wrestler, good top control. I became a really big fan of his after his fight with Matthew Semelsberger. You know, I went into that fight thinking Semelsberger was going to shut Preston Parsons down, and it was all contrary, complete opposite. Preston Parsons was really able to shut the game down of Matthew Semelsberger and just have a completely dominant victory for 3 rounds. And it's not the most exciting style, but like this is MMA, and like he's really able to, if he doesn't play too much on the feet, which sometimes he gets himself into, the fight with Daniel Rodriguez where it's like he shouldn't have been playing on the feet whatsoever, play just a little bit too much and pay the price for it. But I mean, his last fight with Oban Elliott, as we've learned, Oban Elliott is a fucking killer. So I mean, he was able to go 3 rounds with him. Didn't look so good, but I think if Preston goes out there, follows a game plan, and just doesn't take too much punishment from Jacobe Smith, maybe Jacobe, you know, the UFC jitters, it's a real thing. A lot of pressure. We could probably see an adrenaline dump come from Jacobe Smith. So, I mean, if Preston Parsons, if he can hang in there first 5 minutes, because it's going to be a dangerous fight, first 5 minutes for Preston Parsons. Because Jacobe, I think, where Preston lacks, Jacobe is a lot much more polished in the stand-up, in the striking, in the boxing, right? And he's also very well-rounded on the ground. Very, very, very consummate wrestler. So, I think that, I mean, Preston's path to victory is just staying patient, knowing he's been there before, and knowing he's the more experienced guy, and hope that the gas tank of Smith kind of zaps, and then he can kind of work his fight a little bit more and show his experience as the fight goes on. I think that that could be a path to victory for Preston Parsons in this fight. And as for Jacobe Smith, I mean, just be yourself. I mean, do what has gotten you this far so far. You know, I mean, the only thing I think that he should worry about is picking his shots a little bit smarter and focusing on his gas tank a little bit to make sure that he can go the full 15 minutes with a guy like Preston Parsons, who is going to be in shape and ready to go the 15 minutes. So, I mean, if Jacobe Smith doesn't get this done in the first 5, I think it's going to be a very different fight. But nonetheless, I'm a big fan of Preston Parsons, and I'm really curious to see what Jacobe Smith can do in this fight against a guy who is UFC battle tested. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on the debut of Jacobe Smith and the possibility of what Preston Parsons can do in a fight with a guy who has so much hype behind him. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today. Mr. Mustache, MMA News out. Let's fucking go, fight fans.